Hi everyone, here is the next read aloud. We're in the middle of page 20. Now the time was growing near. The wagon had been pulled up close to the house for the final packing. Many of our neighbors gathered around to watch. Mother kept thinking of one more thing that just had to go. A few pieces of good blue and white china that had belonged to her mother, some pretty tablecloths, a quart of wild plum preserves. There were the books that I could not do without: Father's Bible, a volume of Robert Burns poetry and one of Longfellow, Webster's Elementary Speller, and a third reader. So Lavina and I could have lessons along the way. And the wooden wash tub, a big brass kettle, and the rolled up feather ticks that we would sleep on. As I handed them up one by one to Father, I thought we were like birds building a nest. So they were kind of doing distance learning too. They were learning in the covered wagon. At last, Father fastened a small water keg to the side of the wagon with a gourd dipper hanging beside it. He tied our two splint-bottomed easy chairs to the back and hung the tar bucket for greasing the wheels underneath. We were ready to leave the following morning. I found it hard to fall asleep that night. While Lavina sighed like a sleeping kitten in the bed beside me, I lay stiff as a log, my eyes staring up into the darkness. All sorts of strange visions danced around in my brain. Painted Indian faces turned into Grandma's face, tears streaming down her cheeks. Hens' eggs fell out of the sky, changed into snow, and piled up in our wagon. But despite all my fears, I knew that nothing could keep us from making this journey now. Finally, with the words, "We're going to Oregon, we're going to Oregon," repeating over and over in my ears, I fell into an exhausted sleep. Then, suddenly, it was morning. A bright sunny spring day, and Mother was calling us. "Mary Ellen, Lavina, come and help." We hurried through breakfast. I helped Mother pack up our lunch in a basket. Then Lavina and I went outside to hand up the last of the cooking pots and our quilts and feather pillows to Father. Mother was busy sweeping out the empty house to leave it tidy for the family to whom we had sold it. Meanwhile, relatives and friends were arriving to say goodbye. "Go and ask Mother if she has anything else to go in the wagon," Father told me. I walked in the open door. Mother had finished sweeping, and the straw broom leaned against the wall next to the fireplace. That and a bare china cupboard that was too heavy to take with us were the only things left in a room that had always seemed crowded with furnishings. I looked at the fireplace, neatly swept up now, and the places where our two easy chairs had sat. The outline of the hearth rug still showed on the dark plank floor, worn smooth by the tread of many feet. The room felt strange to me, empty and cold. Mother appeared, taking off her apron. "Father wants to know if there is anything else for the wagon," I said. "Just these." Mother held up a wooden spoon and a folded paper of her flower seeds. For a moment, neither of us moved. I stared around the room, trying to memorize it, not as it looked now, but as it used to be. Though Mother said nothing, I thought maybe she was doing the same. Finally, she said, "Well, Father is waiting." Our footsteps made a hollow sound as we walked to the door. I didn't look back when Mother latched it. Father had sent John to gather up the animals. There were 4 pairs of oxen, 2 milk cows named Lily and Blackie, and our tame little heifer, Daisy. Lavina and I begged Father to take her along, and at last he had agreed. Then there were Father's 2 horses, Polly and Pet, and our watchdog Rover. The oxen were soon hitched to the wagon, and Polly was saddled for John to ride. Father stood next to the team, his new whip ready in his hand. Still, he did not give the order to move out. We were being wrapped in hugs, covered with kisses, passed from one pair of arms to another. Cousin Fred nearly squeezed my breath away. Then came Cousin Martha and the minister's wife and Great Aunt Harriet. "You'll be a good girl, won't you, Mary Ellen?" she whispered in my ear, "and take good care of your sisters." "Oh, I just know we will never see you again," someone wailed. Here's a picture of them getting ready to leave, saying goodbye to everyone. Cousin Will tickled me with his beard, then passed me to Mrs. Pritchard, who enfolded me in her plump arms. "Keep up your courage," I heard the tall, pale young minister saying to Mother. "And whatever happens, don't fret. Courage will do you more than anything else." John's mother and younger sisters hovered over him. Even George Kimball, as worried-looking as ever, was giving Father some last-minute warning. Finally, I came to Grandma. "Oh, honey, honey," was all she could say to me, her bright blue eyes shining. "Remember," I told her fiercely, wrapping my arms around her waist, "you'll soon be coming to Oregon, too." Grandma did not answer, just held me close for a long time, and I felt tears falling on my hair. Slowly we climbed into the wagon. Underneath that clean white canvas cover, Mother was crying softly. Lavina and Cynthia looked scared. Finally, Father popped his whip. "Gee, Buck," he shouted. The wheels began to turn, and the oxen moved toward the road. Looking back through the round, gathered opening in the covered wagon, I saw all the familiar faces, some smiling, some tearful, and many waving hands. Grandma, leaning on Cousin Will's arm, looked small and forlorn, her handkerchief clutched in one hand, the breeze ruffling her wisps of white hair. Suddenly I was filled with the most overwhelming sadness. Maybe it was true, I thought. Maybe we would never see any of these faces again, not even Grandma's. My eyes blurred with tears, and I couldn't help it. I put down my head and cried. When I was finally able to look back again, the faces had disappeared from sight. All I could see was the rutted dirt road, the pale green budding trees, and Rover, his white plume of a tail waving, running alongside the wagon. The wheels rattled and creaked. "Going to Oregon, going to Oregon, going to Oregon," they seemed to say. All right, so that's the end of chapter 2. Here is what I want you to figure out today, and let me know so that I know you listened to this today. I want you to come up with how many animals they ended up taking with them. So this is a math problem for you. I'm going to reread the paragraph that said it. So right now you should write down. Here it is. Father had sent John to gather up the animals. There were 4 pairs of oxen, 2 milk cows named Lily and Blackie, and our tame little heifer, Daisy. Lavina and I begged Father to take her along, and at last he had agreed. Then there were Father's 2 horses, Polly and Pet, and our watchdog Rover. So, be the first one to let me know how many animals went with them. See you later.